Welcome to Market Buzz. I'm Greg Schnell, the Canadian technician and host of the Market Buzz. Each show we do a deep dive into different industries using weekly charts to see what is happening on a long timeline. Please follow me on Twitter at Schnell Investor, and you can also find my blogs on gregschnell.com as well as StockCharts.com. So today was a pretty interesting day in the market. I'm sitting there looking at Bitcoin and all of the changes that have been made today, and it's late Tuesday for a Wednesday publication of this video. So what is the Bitcoin buzz? I want to talk about that, but more importantly, I want to help you use StockCharts to get all set up for it so that you can go through and start to look through the charts. So what we want to do is we want to find some cryptocurrencies to look at, how to create a list of those, how to rank the charts, and then if you actually wanted to start trading the cryptos, how would you do that? And I'm not going to get into the whole mechanics of going and getting an account and all that. It's more like from the charting point of view, is there anything there that you want to look at, and the kinds of tools that we could use to help us get set up if we wanted to trade Bitcoin technically. So hopefully that intrigues you. That's the purpose of the mission today, is to jump into that. So we're going to cover this off. So today, Bitcoin was down 11%, and there's some bigger ones. EOS was down 22%, Litecoin down 19%. So there was some damage, let's say, in the cryptos. But I think more importantly is it's one thing to just kind of jump over there and take a look at it every day. What if there was actually an opportunity, and eventually, let's just say that Bitcoin was going to reverse and go to 100,000 or 200,000 or whatever, and you had just never gotten set up, so you were unaware of all of the moves to be made. I want to cover that off, getting set up, and then I want to cover off just going to look at a few of the charts once we get them ranked, and then we could check it out from there. So in order to do this, I would say select a scan, but the problem is I don't have a Bitcoin scan or a crypto scan, so how do I do this? So I'm going to jump into new, and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways, not just, there's an obvious way, but I want to show you a couple of different ones, so that first of all you also learn a really cool thing that StockCharts has built into the scan engine, and hopefully it'll help you be able to create scans that are more interesting. So we're going to start with the word symbol, and we're going to add that. And in this case, it says symbol starts with an A. Well, actually, what I want is I want to know that the second part of the ticker symbol has USD in it. So here's an example. Let me just go get that. So when I do dollar BTC USD, it's Bitcoin to US dollar. So we can scan for this US dollar, or we could scan for the dollar sign in US dollar, all that kind of stuff. Here's what I'm going to do, and I'll show you. It's going to give us some ideas, so just bear with me a little bit. So the symbol contains is the word we want to use. Contains, and then we need a little apostrophe, and in this case we're going to say USD. And when we check our syntax, it says, okay, that's cool, so we're going to run it. And when we run it, now there's 190 entries, but you'll notice a couple of things show up here. So first of all, the Australia dollar to the US dollar is in here. There's a couple of other ones that I thought were quite interesting. As I looked through, it actually brought up some stuff I totally didn't expect in my scan. Like here's the Dow Jones US Brewers Index, and it's because this USD is hiding in here, and the US Defense Index. So all of those aren't things we want. But what it also shows me here is under the exchange, we could just use this word, not crypto, but crypt. And so we can go back into technically scanning, and we could leave in this, or we're just going to get rid of it in this case. But hopefully that gives you an idea if you ever want to scan for something and you don't know everything about it. You could scan for the word, whatever, Morgan, if you're trying to find all the stocks related to JP Morgan or preferreds or whatever. Anyway, so now in this particular case, we're going to say exchange, and we're going to add that, and then we're going to go up here and we're going to change the word from exchange to crypt. Now this isn't going to run this way, and the reason is this word and hanging out the front here. So because it's the first thing we want to scan for, we need to get rid of everything before it. And then anytime after we wanted to scan for it, we would say, and price is greater than $5 or whatever. So just, that would be something simple we could do. So the close ad is greater than whatever, $1. So now we're going to run that scan, and that gives us 89. Now, if without that $1 filter, it almost doubles it to 149. So take your pick. Do you want that or not? So let's just, if we put hashtags in front of this, or sorry, slashes in front of this and run the scan, we'll get 149. And then the other thing that we can do here, so let's just say that we wanted them all just to get a list of them, and then from there we could work. We also want to figure out a way to get the strongest ones first. And so in that case, we're going to go rank by. And we can't use Scooter because the SCTR ranking, because those are only for stock. So we need to use something different. So we're going to use RSI. And then we're going to run our scan. What happens is over here on the right-hand side, it gives us this daily close. Now you can see, or the daily RSI, and the problem is it's got that 0 one in there and the 24-cent one in there. Now maybe you want that. Lots and lots of volume in this one, so perhaps it works. And so we're going to keep them all, and we're going to put them all in this chart list. But one of the things now that it's sorted by RSI is at least we'll have the strongest ones first. So we want to store these new results in a chart list, and I'm going to call it 6010 space, and I'm going to go C for crypto, and then cryptocurrencies. And I want to preserve the sort order so it keeps it with the strongest RSIs first, and then say OK. Now, by doing that, it puts these numbers in here. And so if we just click on this, it's going to put these numbers up first. Now, Dentacoin to US dollar. I think the one thing, we could have 1,000 of these pretty quick here at the rate they're populating. But more importantly, let's at least get them into a list. So now we've got them. I want to show you why I put the 6010, and what I've done on my chart list. I got a whole bunch of different chart lists here. But if you get down to my 6010 area, I've got all different kinds of industry groups sorted out here. So 5G, aerospace and defense, agriculture, airlines. And now I'm going to have my cryptocurrencies showing up in here. And that way, anytime I want to go look at cryptos, I could go in here. Now, I don't have a crypto trading account yet. Maybe by the end of the year I do. By the end of the month I do. By the end of the week. I don't have any position in crypto, so I'm not trying to sell you on taking up crypto. More importantly is to try and use the tools on StockCharts to find stuff you'd like, and then be able to trade around it and set up yourself to take a good look at it. So anyway, with this we've got Dentacoin. That looks pretty hard to trade to me. First of all, we need to set up our indicators. Let's just clear everything off here. And one of the things we need to do is add, first of all, we're ranking by RSI. So let's put RSI on here. And I always love the PPO. PPO allows me to compare it across different charts. That's the percentage price move. So anyway, we can use that. Now some of these cryptos have just come out. So the question is, do we want to save this as a daily chart or a weekly chart? Really up to us to decide that. I think more importantly for me, I prefer weekly. Now, obviously, this one's a brand new one, so I'm not sure that it's going to help us that much. But there's some reasons that I want to search. I want to save it to a weekly theme. And in this case, whatever, I always try to have my weekly look different than my daily, so I recognize I'm looking at a weekly chart. We're going to save all of the charts in the list. Let's just actually see how many months we've got here. I want to get a couple of years of data in here. Let's just make sure that this is, yeah, that's pretty close. Apply style to all, and it doesn't look like much on this chart. But what we want to see is on the next one, Let's just click forward. And okay, here's a new chart, and this is trading in the on a weekly chart, and we can just see we've got different color styles for the bars. I like when all the bars are the same. I don't really like it when I'll call it when red looks so intimidating as it's falling. So I prefer to have all of the bars black and just let me do the analysis on them. Now, this Oasis Labs is obviously soaring nicely. It was 10 cents. It was 36 this morning and down to 28. So it's really got some wide range in there. You really have to want to trade that. So now we need to update this chart style again to keep everything being black on all of the charts. And now let's just go try and find something, ETH or whatever, Ethereum. Let's just go to Ethereum and just see what it looks like, because we've got a little more charting history on that one. So this goes back 5 years. We're right up here at the top. So I think that looks pretty good. The 200-week moving average doesn't really help me with anything, so I usually change that. I make it a 40-week, and then I always put something like let's call it a green line on there. And if I wanted a 10-week, I would just go simple moving average, 10-week, and say solid, and again, pick black or blue or whatever color you'd like, and let's get that on there. And maybe there's something else you want, maybe a full stochastic, so we'll put that down here, full stochastics, and this is more to help with the trading of it. I'm trying to get in near the lows before it's moved up too much. So again, let's save this chart style, and the reason we're trying to do this is when we hit the supply style button to all, it'll change all of the charts in this list. Now I could quickly go move to my default chart for this one chart, and then when I go to the next chart in the list, it's going to go back and take me to the chart style that I've saved. Now, when we get involved in all of these cryptos, like look at this move in this one, Solana. This thing was $20 in July, and it's $200 today. Pretty substantial move, 10x. And again, you've just got to be able to stomach this $50 to $20 pullback, 60% before it took off again. The classic chart patterns in here are still workable, right? We can still draw trend lines on here and go like this. This is a downtrend. This is a consolidation pattern, and breaks back out to the upside. We could do it a little more aggressively and show it as a pennant pattern like this. And when you're trading, you're really trying to find risk reward spots. You're trying to find a place where you can set a stop below if you're wrong, and if it breaks out, you want to buy it. But let's just say here in this case, it's moving above the 10-week moving average, and then, which is in blue. And then as it moves above that, our stop's going to go just below that breakout. And then it runs up, it falls below the 10-week, now goes up and back and forth here. So you'd have got chopped around a few times, and then it breaks out and goes on a big run. I'm not trying to, again, force or push anybody into crypto. I just think it's nice to take something totally unrelated. You might not have traded it, or you might trade it all the time, and just talk specifically about how we can use chart patterns, indicators to help us trade around the crypto. And again, it helps to have some chart time history, like that first one on the list had no real time. And so without time, we can't really look back and see how it's traded before. So anyway, this method here, by doing this, we can now go view all, and we could look at some of the strongest charts. So we're going to leave this one because the data is pretty thin. Oasis Labs to US dollar. This one's breaking out to fresh highs in a stock. We'd like that. Here's Solana. This one's really working nicely, moving on up. And again, I don't know anything about the background of how these coins are used at all. Nothing. Purely here on the chart focus of this exercise. So anyway, breaking out to a new high here. It was $1, got all the way up to $2, and it's pulled back to $1.40. So It's been a double this week already and pulled back. So that's wonderful if it's going the right way, and not so wonderful it's going wrong. In early July, it was 10 cents and $2. That's a pretty big move. Obviously, you have to be able to position size so that if it swings wildly against you, you haven't lost your family fortune. And if it swings wildly for you, you can afford to buy a couple of dinners with the money. And it just, for some people, it's dinners on a private jet. For others, it's date night at Applebee's. So when we see this chart, like this one has a really nice big downtrend starting to turn around and break above the 10-week, trying to push up. RSI sitting right around the 50%. And one of the things that was interesting when we looked at that chart list, I'm going to go back and go to the technical scan and run it again, and there's a reason that I want to do that. One of the things on the scan we asked it to do was tell us the RSI level. And what I'm noticing is not very many of them are trading above 50%, right? There's 20 on this list, and okay, so that's probably it. So we've got about 30 out of 90 that are trading with an RSI above 50. We could scroll down and just say, okay, lots in that 40 to 50 area, and then go to page 2. And below 30, not many. So lots of them have turned up recently and are starting to run a little bit. So with this chart list, now you can keep looking through it, but a real quick one, and you can do this scan on any industry group you want. If you did it on uranium miners today, they're all up at the top because they've been on a big run for a week. And if you did it on oil stocks, they might be 30, 40, 50 for an RSI. They've been pulling back for a couple of months. So you can always scan for the RSI. It's not something that you can keep on the chart data. So when we go to cryptocurrencies, if I'm going to, actually, let me just do that. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to grab SPY. But you can put an RSI on your chart, but when you have it in summary form, view all summary, you don't get, one of the column options is not RSI. And so if you want to sort on that, you have to run the scan engine to do that and get that output, which is easy to do, right? Just add that rank by line and run it through your chart list. Okay, so now once we're in here, let's just start looking at some of these. Now look at this quant to US dollar. This thing's just been running up very, very nicely. FET to US dollar, fetch.ai to US dollar was 20 cents, up around $1.15. These things are moving quite quickly, and again, you really need to trade around them. Or if you're a long-term holder, you're going to put $5 into whatever one you like, or a percentage, a tiny percentage of your wealth in there. And if it can run and break out, that's great. So here's near to US dollar, and some people would say, I want to trade this instead of gold. But here you're breaking out to a new high, that's a buy signal, or you're breaking above the 10-week. One thing about breaking above the 10-week is it starts to do that. You're not buying at an all-time high that's stretched out. It's a little bit better to try and buy down near a pullback, especially in something so volatile as the cryptos. When we get to the bottom of this list, we'll find out that buying at the bottom didn't work because they just kept dropping. But just picking some sort of a moving average, you can pick the 34-week, the 10-week, the 40-week, the 5-day, the 8-day, 21-day, 34-day, whatever it is that floats your boat. A moving average is a line in the sand for you to get either long or sell or short something. And it really depends on your aggressive trading style. So if you're trading around an 8-day or an 8-hour moving average or an 8-week moving average, those are three different traders using much different parameters to try and trade things. So don't get hung up on what the moving average is. In this particular case, trading around the 10-week down here would have been very frustrating because it kept whipping you above and below. Trading around the 40-week, once it started to show up, was just fine. You were still long. Here it bounced off the 40-week 3 times and continues to work its way higher. Okay, let's look at the RSI a little bit. So one of the things, actually, let's find one that's got a couple more years of data in it and just see if there's anything there for us. So all of these still look fine. Here's one, host iOS token to US dollar. So a few things here. When we click on this one, we're going to annotate it. Now, one of the things on a weekly chart is when the RSI stays below 60, we typically would say it's in a bear market. So I'm just going to make that red. And essentially, you're living on the wrong side of the weekly chart. Now, what happens in here, even in here, is it never gets to 70. But once it goes to 70, what we want to do is draw a green line going back at the 40 level. And the idea for us trading around that is that when you're holding above 40, this is a nice place to be long. And when you're failing under 60, so over here all this time, better off to just avoid this chart. You want something that has actually finally triggered and then it pulled back to the 40 or the 50 and it started to improve and at least you had a trend change. We don't have that. When we didn't have that, it's much more difficult. And you can also see the PPO momentum is staying below zero. This is my favorite trade, is it comes up above zero, pulls back, and in here it's very difficult to own because look at how choppy it is, and then all of a sudden it got really, really tight, and it literally took off. Now this thing's a penny stock or a penny ticker that went all the way from 1 cent to 10 cents. The same principles apply. You want to find an RSI probably in the top half of the range. You'd like it if it had already had an RSI pushing up around 70 to give you a buy signal. And then on the next pullback, it was a great entry. That's really the right setup for me. I don't like trying to buy it when the full stochastic is just cycling up around the top here. I'd prefer to buy it when it's cycling down around the bottom. So looking for two different types of trades there. Okay, let's go back to just to see these. Now here's OMG USD, US dollar. PPO staying below zero, goes above zero right here. At least it's a clue something's changed. So even if you haven't seen the chart, let's just look at the ticker symbols or at the indicators. RSI is staying below 60. Right in here in March 2020 or May 2020, it goes up and touches 70. So now you want to try and buy pullbacks. That's going to be more difficult, but here's your PPO kind of coming down and doing a kiss and go on the signal line, runs up, pulls back, gets down to 40 here, and now you're getting down to a place where the PPO is trying to move back up and move above zero. So I at least like it from that perspective, and my stop would be relatively tight to make sure it doesn't break down. But if it does start to run, then that's going to be helpful. Let's go look at the price action. We see the same thing where we had big downward momentum below both moving averages. We're now above both moving averages right here. And we kick off. Now the 10-week is obviously a little too tight. You're going to get kicked out just before the moves. The 40-week, it continues to close above the 40-week all the way until here. And now the real question we have to ask is, do we want to be involved anymore? And that's still a good question. Your momentum is sloping up, but what you would do is from here you would go on to a shorter time frame chart. So here's Revian to the US dollar, and again, this has just got no trading volume, so I'm really not that interested. If you wanted to go through and make another chart list with just ones over $1, you could see how many of these you would be not being included on. But literally what you're trading here is people's perception of value. And the underlying might eventually be worth something, but right as it gets started, you're really trading emotion and just trying to figure it out. Some of them have a real problem with liquidity. I didn't put volume on this chart. That's probably something to be considered. But when you're looking through, you're getting the idea, right? All of these have pushed up, pulled back, and now they're trying to go again. I want to show you something specific to the Bitcoin chart. And so the easiest way to do that, just go to my crypto list here. And on this, when we go look, so we can just, on any page, you can always look Command S or Command F or Control F and always look for, so that's a command that's on the browser, not on StockCharts. But here's Bitcoin, so it's number 530, so the 53rd one in the list. And when we go click on that chart, I want to show three things that are showing up to me on this PPO, and we could even open it up a little bit more. But one of the things I like, you'll see it, what I noticed here was that there was this, I want to make that black, this drop, and now we seem to be setting up for the same sort of thing. So it runs up, starts to wave, pulls down, and then gets all the way down here. Last time it didn't run down very far, and that was a really nice buy signal, and off it went. And then here we've kind of got the same thing setting up. Our full stochastic is right at the top. Again, it's easier to buy when the full stochastic is near the bottom, especially on a weekly chart. And now what we want to watch for is trying to trade around the signals we're getting. So in this case, to me, it's a little bit cautionary, but back here, it just kept making higher lows and never really did turn down and drop below zero. So this was a pretty nice place to be involved. If this is going to run up, now trade below zero, or roll over and trade below zero, it's probably a better place to ignore the action in Bitcoin and wait for your full stochastic to give you a signal back at the bottom, even if it's in a rising environment, back near the 50% line, instead of trying to buy right at the top here. So to me, I would trade around it if I was going to use that, but I would try to find different signals. This has run a long way, right? 30,000 to 52,000 in 8 weeks or something. So with that, it looks to me like it's easier to probably let it relax and pull back a little bit before I get involved. So hopefully that's just using some basic technical analysis tools of PPO momentum, the RSI between 40 and 70 in a bull market and under 60 down to 20 or 30 in a bear market. And then a full stochastic, trying to buy it when it's near the bottom, breaking above 20% rather than when it's near the top. It can run a long way, but in my case, I'd say I'd missed the trade and I want to pick it up the next time it gets down low rather than buying it near the highs. Hopefully that helps. I'm away from the office for the next couple of weeks, 30th anniversary. So I'll have some recorded videos. They won't be time sensitive. They'll be more about some of the ideas I have for using stock charts and trading around it with some of the different areas in the market. Please, if you have any ideas, you could always send them to info@gregschnell.com, and I could get back to you on those in a slower time fashion than normal. But again, hopefully that explains why my next two videos won't really be based on time. So thanks for taking the time to join me on Market Buzz. Market Buzz airs Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. You can also see the recordings on StockCharts TV, YouTube page, or StockCharts on demand. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.